Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another video. So today we have a few Star Wars news updates, and we begin with Star Wars Ahsoka. We're now just 12 days away, and fans have spotted brand new character posters. On top of the ones we got the other day, there is now one out there for HUYANG, a very important character to this series who originated in the Clone Wars series, and we've spoken about him before. But this new poster for him, this new look, is quaint. So, moving swiftly on, due to the strikes, there is so much uncertainty as to what the next Star Wars project is going to be. There are only two that are completed from start till finish, and those are Skeleton Crew and The Acolyte. And it seems as though Skeleton Crew with Jude Law has been scrapped from the 2023 Disney slate. That's right, my dear friends, as suspected, due to the strikes there are less shows, so they're going to move that to 2024 with The Acolyte. So after Ahsoka, there are going to be no live-action Star Wars shows until 2024. And I'm going to guess they might be later in the year, because The Acolyte is slated for Q2. Fiscally speaking, this is April, May and June, so sometime in the spring. Skeleton Crew might be in the fall, unless everything is rearranged. Anything can change, so we've got to appreciate and take in every second of Ahsoka, because afterwards, it's going to be very dry for a few months. Disney omitted Skeleton Crew as a series in their recent earnings call for Q3. According to Star Wars Newsnet, it is no longer a 2023 release. I don't think the show is going to be scrapped in any way. I still think it's going to come out next year. It was a very rocky, unstable production, but they did eventually cross the finish line, so it is still in the cards. Now, the fan reception to this has been interesting to say the least. A lot of outlets, and also just fans generally, are not too certain this show is ever going to see the light of day. I've seen some fans group in Lando as well, saying neither series will ever make it to the screen, even if Skeleton Crew is already wrapped and they've already done post. I've seen comparisons to Rangers of the New Republic, with a few fans saying the revamp at Disney teased by Bob Iger means they might put some projects which did have some work done on hold. I think it'd be a real shame, because it seems like Skeleton Crew, despite being one of the smaller series we've not seen too much mainstream hype for it just yet, is still part of Jon Favreau's wider Mandalorian universe, as was the Book of Boba Fett, and the idea was Skeleton Crew was going to fit in there as well. Jude Law even talked about familiar characters, how he was baffled to see Jar was on set, and at D23 he even said there were characters he can't talk about that do feature in the show. We've heard rumours of Hondo Ohnaka, and maybe even Lando Calrissian himself. Maybe Donald Glover did film a cameo for that. Whatever the case, I really hope this show does see the light of day. Star Wars combined with a Goonies feel, Stranger Things feel, even some darker comedy, could be a refreshing addition to the Star Wars canon. That's just my take. I'm not approaching this from a pessimistic standpoint. I'm not doom and gloom about it. And with increasingly stricter budgets, I don't think they'll just throw away a series they finished. And I think for your average casual fan, there needs to be a hook for Skeleton Crew, something to get them excited. We live in a very interesting age of streaming, where it's not enough to just put out a Star Wars project anymore. I would say Jude Law is that hook. He's done a lot of films. He was part of the Harry Potter franchise with the spin-offs Fantastic Beasts, and beyond him, I would love to see overlap with Ahsoka, which was rumoured very early on in this project. They can show us how the extragalactic threat of Thrawn is starting to affect regular citizens, not just our heroes. Maybe the kids discover something they're not supposed to, and along with the teacher played by Jude, on their way home they investigate. Now, the strikes have really affected everything going forward, and there is so much uncertainty regarding the future of content. Disney is making contingency plans, expanding the research of AI, and we'll talk about this more in just a moment, but in the context of the Mandoverse, this may have thrown off a lot of plans. And unfortunately, I predict the entire story of Mando is going to be cut much shorter than what was originally planned. I really believe that Jon and Dave wanted to take this corner of the Star Wars galaxy post-Episode 6 and turn it into a universe of films and shows. The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett was just the start, and Ahsoka was going to build off all of that and be a launching pad for the next stage. That was going to be a Dave Filoni movie, maybe more films after that, maybe a trilogy, Skeleton Crew, more seasons of Ahsoka after that, and more films. I'm talking about multiple phases, but I do not believe at this stage they're going to be able to produce the amount of work they were going to, because of the budget cuts, because of Disney's revamping. They're going to rethink the production process for content going forward, especially of their major IPs. Bob Iger talked about Marvel and Star Wars specifically. But Mando is a moneymaker. It is the Disney Plus flagship show. It brings them a lot of revenue, so I would suspect if any project is safe, it's Mando going forward. So it could be the exception to the rule, and what I just said only applies to other shows. But it's still going to be less content going forward, that is a guarantee. Personally, I'm very excited for what the next phase of Mando is going to bring, the Ahsoka series of course, Skeleton Crew, and whatever we get beyond that. So far it's been really fun. For more Mandoverse updates, please go and check out my other videos that I post every single day. We've had a lot of juicy news over the last couple of weeks, and you'll find all of it on my channel. Also, so that you never miss any updates, please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell. And now we're going to be talking about what's going on with Disney at the moment. Because imagine a future where it's not Disney Star Wars, it's Apple Star Wars. These are rumours that were going around a couple of weeks ago, but now the Hollywood Reporter are saying we should take these seriously. And they literally say don't count it out this time. Facing the staggering problems afflicting all legacy studios, given the strikes, given the fact Disney is bleeding money, Bob Iger could be contemplating a once unthinkable option. And in this report they say, he's kind of sweating, he is stressed, things are not going his way. Look at what's happened with Indiana Jones 5. The situation now with the strikes is pretty bad for them, and now they're looking at other options. So here's what they say. A few weeks before Bob Iger sat down for that CNBC interview in which he said Disney's linear TV networks like ABC and FX may not be core to the company's business. Apple buying Disney. It's an idea that keeps being discussed, even though many top executives have scoffed, denied it, and still do. Apple doesn't want to buy a studio, they say, but this observer wasn't so quick to rule it out, saying, quote, I don't think Apple would buy the company as it presently exists, but if you see Bob start to divest things, that feels like he's preparing for a sale. And there's clearly no buyer like Apple. Not long after that, Iger went on television and hung a possibly for sale sign on Disney's TV businesses. And just like that, it was a little more possible to see the outlines of a slimmed down Disney that could be tempted by an acquisition. There's clearly no buyer like Apple, which is sitting on $62 billion in cash and cash equivalents, and has a $2.8 trillion market cap. And while it may be very true that Apple doesn't want to buy a studio, maybe it would want to buy this studio, the one that despite the challenges of the moment, has a vault full of priceless IPs and remains the most valuable brand in entertainment, if not in the world. And there's been a long-standing special relationship between the two companies. They say Steve Jobs served on Disney's board of directors from 2006 until his death in 2011. Bob Iger joined Apple's board shortly after Jobs died, and he resigned the same day Apple officially announced it was getting into the content business through its Apple TV Plus service. So if they do buy Disney, that would mean that Star Wars would be on Apple TV Plus. Some Hollywood executives have been anticipating a future in which the studio herd will continue to thin dramatically. There will end up being 3 or 4 platforms and everyone else gets hollowed out, says one veteran insider. There will be Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and one other. If you could put NBC Universal, Warner's, and Paramount together, you probably have enough to survive. If Iger sees the world the same way, finding a home for Disney could be a temptation. Multiple sources say this is no longer just a rumor. It could be a reality, and not only is he confronting an industry in transition that's ever-changing, but much of the team that was with him in the good years is no longer there. CFO Christine McCarthy is also gone, after 23 years at the company. So to bring this back to Star Wars, if this acquisition ever did happen, we'll get many more shows like Andor and less of Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi. I can imagine a giant shift. They would learn from the mistakes Disney made with Lucasfilm. Of course other properties too, but I'm Star Wars Meg, not Disney Meg. We're living in a very interesting time for the entertainment business. It's changing fast, like we've never seen before. And so now, my dear friends, they've postponed Star Wars Hunters on a mass release until early 2024. It was going to release sometime this year, but a new earnings call confirms it's being pushed back. And I don't think Star Wars fans care. I've not seen much discussion or hype for this game whatsoever. I know it's available as a soft launch in New Zealand on mobile, as well as some other countries as well, but that was a soft launch. A Star Wars version of Overwatch does look like a lot of fun, but it's been delayed so much, and I just wouldn't be surprised if it never happens. It's pretty common with mobile releases to do a soft launch in some countries as a testbed because it's a small market, but a wide release is yet to happen. Now this headline is somewhat misleading. It doesn't sound close, but it could still be in the later part of this year, not necessarily in late 2024. This was available to test and play at Celebration in 2022, and here we are, and it's still not available to everyone. And this is a game that promised some new characters. Set after the fall of the Empire, Hunters brings players together in a thrilling, team-based multiplayer battle. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.